Now this one hurts. This one's a little painful because I remember talking about, it might have been 2 years ago now, I'm not sure. Maybe more. I really don't know. And I wish I could remember the country. Was it Ukraine or some country over there and I remember saying, look, here's a story of how it went down. It was one of those overnight things, kind of like Venezuela's going, and women selling themselves to get any kind of money, food, supplies, you name it, bartering stuff. I mean, it was bad. I remember reading the story. It was like a first-hand account that I was reading on how it goes and how it can happen, kind of abruptly. I think it was in relation to Ukraine or the Czech Republic or something. Man, it was just too long for me to remember. And one of the things I remember is the women selling themselves to put food on the table for their family, their kids. Oh, I'd never do that. I'll never do that. Yeah. Oh, they're already doing it in Venezuela. However, there's another country a little closer to you than you think, in which there's a trend forming that's not good. So much for 5% unemployment, so much for these rigged numbers they give us, so much for the so-called recovery. Okay? Zero hedge. Desperately poor teens in America's impoverished inner cities. Okay. Cats, that's not going to work. Stand by. All right, so desperately poor teens in America's impoverished inner cities are trading sex for food. Michael Schneider via the Economic Collapse blog. When people get hungry enough, they will do just about anything for some food. According to brand new research that was just released this week from Feeding America and the Urban Institute, there aren't thousands. No. According to this, there are millions of teenagers in America that live in food insecure households. And researchers were stunned to learn what some of these teens are willing to do to feed themselves. Some resorted to shoplifting, naturally. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I don't go out and I don't steal. I'm not going to the store, I'm not stealing. Everybody hates a thief, we know that. But don't even think for 1 second, if I was not in some kind of hard times, can't find a job, unemployment ran out, oh my God, what do I do? Don't think for 1 second that I would say, well, it's doing the wrong, I'm not supposed to steal, in order to put some food on the table for my family. Don't think for 1 second. You are a human being and you have the right to live, to survive, which means you have to do whatever you have to do that. Wouldn't be a good idea to go shoplifting ever. But again, you're talking about a crisis situation. Can't blame them. However, we're not just talking about shoplifting now either, are we? Some resort to shoplifting. Others deal drugs. Again, another thing. I'm not selling my body. I'm not stealing from people. But I will sell drugs because there's plenty of people who want them, so I'll sell them. Again, another thing you might find yourself, I would never do that. That's crazy. Oh, wait a minute. There's a lot of good money in that. I can survive if I do that. Okay, I'm going to do it. It'd be that quick, that easy. Believe me, when you're in a situation you've never been in before like that, your whole outlook. Remember the guy Fairfall, the collapse of Argentina? I've mentioned this guy numerous times. He was upstairs, second story building downtown, looking down, eating a hamburger. He happened to maintain his job. And people in business suits, ties, you name it, are down there rioting and burning cars and doing the bad stuff with a group of other people because the whole damn economy just collapsed on them. You would never see those people doing. These are business people. They would never do that. All of a sudden, like someone flipped a switch. Boop. Now I join them. I got to do what I got to do. And there were a surprising number of participants in the study that actually admitted to trading sex for food. It wouldn't be a shock to hear that these kinds of things are going on in an economically depressed nation, such as Venezuela. But this is the United States of America. We are supposed to be the wealthiest nation on the entire planet. No, so you got that wrong. there's the wealthiest 0.1% on the entire planet. They actually don't hold their hat anywhere per se. They're not an American citizen or a British citizen or anything else. They live all over the place. These are one world order people. They are the richest, as a matter of fact. But the country that used to be rich that you're talking about, they've sucked dry. Again, the lady just got off the hook. Wells Fargo, $125 million payday. I'm out. I'm retiring. Been here for 23 years. I'm $125 million. What did you oversee? I oversaw the fraud department. Oh, the same one which over 5,000 people participated in, stealing your own customers' data, creating accounts with their name, creating credit cards with their name, and then charging those people the late fees on the accounts they never created themselves, making it think like they did and they forgot about it, so they're going to get hit with late fees. Yeah, that was my job. And you're leaving with 125 million. That's a big 10-4, right? So you see how that works? That's where the wealth is going. That's where the wealth is going, to the top 1%. Again, the 0.1% is even more. Sadly, even while the stock market has been soaring in recent years, poverty in America has been on the rise. For those on the low end of the economic scale, things have gone from bad to worse since the end of the last recession, and millions of children are deeply suffering as a result. Let's start with some of the hard numbers. The following comes directly from the Urban Institute website. An estimated 6.8 million people ages 10 to 17 are considered food insecure, meaning they don't have reliable access to enough affordable, nutritious food. Another 2.9 million are very food insecure, and roughly 4 million live in marginally food secure households where the threat of running out of food is real. Food insecurity takes a tremendous toll on teenagers. Poor nutrition and the stress of hunger and poverty can jeopardize their physical and mental health and development and their academic success. But despite the gravity and prevalence of teen food insecurity, we know very little about how these young people experience and cope with hunger. The researchers already knew that lots of young people were hungry in America, but what surprised them were the lengths that which many of these youngsters said they would go in order to get food. Some of the youths said they or someone they know, mostly young men, have turned to shoplifting food, selling drugs, and stealing items to then sell. The teens also reported knowing young women who have sold their bodies for food and had sex for money so they could buy food for their families. Going to jail or failing a class in order to have to attend summer school were also some of the lengths teens went to. Could you imagine your daughter or your granddaughter exchanging her body for food? Think about that. For most of us, that is absolutely unthinkable. But the truth is that this is taking place on the streets of America every single day. And this wasn't just some blind random phone survey. The researchers conducted personal interviews with focus groups, and what these kids were willing to admit doing was absolutely astounding. Here is another excerpt directly out of the report. And I'll remind you, that's what they've been, the ones who were willing to admit it. How many kids out there are going to say, well, I don't want to admit that. It's embarrassing. I feel, I've sold my body, or, I've sold my soul to the devil. I don't even want to pretend I did. I'm just going to keep that to myself. So imagine whatever numbers they have, what the real numbers are. It's like when a woman gets raped. They I don't know what the stats are, but a lot of the time they don't want it. They never report it, don't admit it, just keep it to themselves. So, where was I? Where's that report? Okay, many of these young teens understand what they're doing is wrong. Oh, no, I skipped the part. Here we go. When faced with acute food insecurity, teens in all but 2 of the communities said that youth engage in criminal behavior, ranging from shoplifting food directly to selling drugs and stealing items to resell for cash. These behaviors were most common among young men in communities with the most limited job options. Teens in all 10 communities and in 13 of the 20 focus groups talked about some youth selling sex for money to pay for food. These themes arose most strongly in high poverty communities where teens are also described sexually coercive environments. Sexual exploitation most commonly took the form of transactional dating relationships with older adults. In a few communities, teens talked about going to jail or failing school so that they could attend summer classes and get school lunch as viable strategies for ensuring regular meals. Many of these people, these young people, understand that what they are doing is wrong. Just consider what some of them told researchers. A girl in Portland, Oregon, told researchers, it's really like selling yourself. You'll do whatever you need to get money or eat. Another comment from Portland, you're not even dating. They'll be like, I don't really love him, but I'm going to do what I have to do. Many prefer to rationalize what they are doing as dating of sorts. A boy in rural North Carolina said, when you're selling your body, it's more in disguise. Hang on. It's time for you to go. Bed. I thought I heard somebody creeping. My wife's birthday is tomorrow. So we went to, get some cards and stuff at the store for her. And they're, what turned out to be decorating the door so that when she comes out tomorrow morning, she'll see like little stringers and stuff turn into, putting stuff everywhere. Up the hallway, up the staircase, up the upstairs area. I'm like, am I hearing somebody? Sure enough, time for bed. Past time for bed. So, where was I? It's more in disguise. Like if I had sex with you, you have to buy me dinner tonight. That's how girls deal with the struggle. That's better than taking money, because if they take money, they will be labeled a prostitute. When I read the information in this report, I'm stunned. Yet, yes, I write about our economic decline and the rise in poverty all the time, but I didn't know that things were this bad. And the researchers were surprised by what they were hearing as well. One of them said that the fact that the girls are trading their bodies for food was, quote, really shocking to me, and she believes that things are just getting worse over time. I've been doing research in low-income communities for a long time. I've written extensively about the experiences of women in high-poverty communities and the risk of sexual exploitation, but this was new, said Susan Popkin, a senior fellow at the Urban Institute and lead author of the report, Impossible Choices. Even for me, who has been paying attention to this and has heard women tell their stories for a long time, the extent to which we were hearing about food being related to this vulnerability was new and shocking to me. And the level of desperation that it implies was really shocking to me. It's a situation, I think, is just getting worse over time. But aren't we being told that things are getting better? Aren't we being told that our leaders fixed the economy? We had to double the debt, which we didn't want. We had to come up with $900 billion money in TARP funds. And again, Federal Reserve's now got $5 trillion on its balance sheet. That's not coming off. So, again, this is what happens in third world countries. This is what happens. And I remember Lindsey Williams said years ago, in a few years, he said this, in a few years, you will not recognize America. You will not recognize this place. He said when the club does a number economically, America is going to get hit hard. And he said everything you enjoy now, this American lifestyle, everything you have now, the things in your house, everything you have, enjoy it. Because when this goes down, he says he was told that you're going from first world status down to possibly third world status, and that after a number of years, some time goes by, some of what you had will come back. Some of that American lifestyle you had will come back, but it will never, ever come back to the extent that it is now. Take care.